Everyone thinks offside is complicated. Coaches let you think that. Commentators love that. Your football-obsessed friend who explains it badly at parties? Especially that. The truth is, offside has exactly one rule. One. You have been drowning in footnotes while the headline sat right there. The confusion is not a feature of the rule. It is a feature of how people explain it. Here is exactly how it works. Let's start with the sentence nobody says out loud. When the ball is played forward to you, you cannot be closer to the opponent's goal line than the second to last defender. That is it. That is the whole rule. Read it again if you need to. Take your time. The goalkeeper almost always counts as one defender, which means there is nearly always one outfield player keeping you onside. That one outfield player is your line. The moment that player steps forward, or you step beyond him at the wrong time, the flag goes up. Here is the part that matters most, and that almost no one explains clearly. Offside is judged at the moment the ball leaves your teammate's foot, not when you receive it, not when you touch it, the moment it leaves the boot. So you can sprint forward after the ball is played and still be onside as long as you were behind that second defender at the exact second your teammate passed it. This is why VAR freezes the frame. Not to be annoying. To find that exact millisecond. One frame too early, one frame too late, and the call changes. That is the rule. Everything else is detail. Now, you might be asking, why does this rule exist at all? Fair question. Let's go back to something very human. Imagine you are playing football in a park. No rules, no structure. Within about 10 minutes, one player on each team has figured out the same trick. Stand near the opponent's goal, wait, get the ball, score. Repeat. No defending, no pressing, no movement, just hovering. It works brilliantly, and it makes the game completely unwatchable. Football solved this in 1863. The very first laws of the game, written by the newly formed Football Association in London, included an offside rule. Not because someone was being difficult, because without it, the sport was a chore to watch. That original rule was actually stricter than today's, much stricter. A player needed 3 opponents between himself and the goal to be onside. 3. That meant 2 outfield defenders plus the goalkeeper standing ahead of you. For decades, that was law. The rule existed to keep attackers honest, to force them to run, time their movement, and earn their position. Simple idea, necessary idea, brilliant idea. The execution, as we will get to, has been a disaster ever since. Here is where it gets genuinely interesting. By the early 1920s, football had a problem, a different problem. The 3-defender rule had made it too easy to trap attackers offside. Defenders had figured this out completely. They would step forward in unison, leaving the striker stranded, and the game would grind to a halt. Goals were disappearing. Fans were bored. Attendances were falling. In February 1925, Newcastle played Bury. They drew 0-0. It was Newcastle's 6th goalless draw of the season. The average goals per game across English football that year had dropped to around 2.58. The Football Association had seen enough. That same year, they changed the rule. 3 defenders became 2. Now an attacker only needed the goalkeeper and 1 outfield defender ahead of him to stay onside. Suddenly, space opened up everywhere. The effect was immediate and dramatic. Goals in the 1925-26 season surged by roughly 35% compared to the year before. Now here is the part nobody talks about. One manager looked at the new rule and saw not opportunity, but danger. His name was Herbert Chapman. Chapman had just taken over at Arsenal. He watched teams exploit the new space with terrifying ease. He saw the gap left behind a high defensive line, and he responded by doing something almost no one had done before. He dropped a midfielder back into defense permanently, created a three-man backline, invented a new shape, the WM formation, a 3-2-2-3 that restructured how teams defended and attacked simultaneously. Arsenal went on to dominate English football through the 1930s. One rule change, one smart manager, the entire tactical history of football shifts. That is what offside does. It does not just govern a moment of play. It shapes how the whole game is built. So defenders understand the rule. They always have. And the smartest defenders realized something early. If offside is triggered the moment the ball is played, and you control where the defensive line sits, you can use that to your advantage. Step forward at exactly the right moment. Leave the striker behind you. Instant offside. The attack collapses before it starts. This is the offside trap, and it is both brilliant and deeply cynical. Executed well, it is one of the most satisfying things in football. A whole attacking move, carefully constructed over 10 passes, wiped out in half a second by 4 defenders stepping in unison. Executed badly, it is catastrophic. One defender steps late. The line breaks. The striker is onside. You have handed someone a clear run on goal, and your goalkeeper is staring at you from 12 yards away, wondering what just happened. George Graham's Arsenal sides in the late 1980s and early 1990s ran the offside trap at an almost industrial scale. It worked. Trophies followed. Opposition managers complained constantly. Defenders to this day use it at every level of the game, from Sunday League parks to the World Cup. The rule was designed to stop attackers waiting near the goal. Instead, defenders weaponized it. Whether anyone intended that or not, it happened anyway. Here is the part that causes 90% of the arguments in living rooms around the world. You can stand in an offside position all day long. That is completely legal. Being in an offside position is not a foul. It is not even a warning. It is nothing. You can lurk 2 meters from the goalkeeper, completely beyond every defender. And as long as the ball is not played to you, nothing happens. Offside is only called when 3 things occur. 1, the ball is played to you. 2, you interfere with an opponent, meaning you distract the goalkeeper or block a defender from playing the ball. 3, you gain an advantage from being there. For example, the ball bounces back off the post and lands at your feet. Before any of those 3 moments, you are just a person standing on a pitch. This is exactly why the linesman, the official on the touchline, keeps his flag down until the play develops. He is watching, waiting, judging whether the player in the offside position becomes involved. Sometimes they hold the flag for 2, 3, 4 seconds after the ball is played. It looks late. It feels wrong. It is completely correct. You cannot be offside from a goal kick. You cannot be offside from a throw-in. You cannot be offside from a corner kick. At all. The rule simply does not apply. It switches off. So the next time a player is standing directly in front of the goalkeeper during a corner and nobody raises a flag, now you know. That is not a mistake. That is the law working as designed. Right. Now we get to the part that is making headlines at this exact World Cup. The 2026 tournament is using what FIFA calls semi-automated offside technology, which sounds like something from a science fiction film. Loosely, it is. Every player at this World Cup has had their body scanned. A 3D digital model built from that scan. 29 data points on each player. Joints, limbs, extremities. Tracked in real time by cameras positioned across the stadium. When the ball is played, the system freezes the frame, overlays the data, checks every point on every player simultaneously, and flags if any part of an attacking player's body, any part that could legally score a goal, is beyond the second last defender. Any part. This is where armpit offside enters the conversation, which is exactly as absurd as it sounds. A player's shoulder, a player's armpit, marginally, by centimeters, in front of the defensive line at the moment the ball is played. Flag goes up. Goal disallowed. And here is the reasonable objection to all of this. The margin of error in these systems, even the best ones, can be several centimeters in either direction, which means a goal disallowed for a 2-centimeter offside is, in some cases, within the margin of error of the technology making the call. Gary Neville has already called it a dictatorship. Klopp went on record before the tournament calling it a problem. Fans around the world are furious. But the rule itself has not changed. One concept, one line, one moment. The technology just tries to find that moment with more precision than any human eye ever could. Whether that is progress or paranoia is genuinely up for debate. Let's bring this back. The offside rule exists because without it, football becomes unplayable. Someone will always stand near the goal. The rule forces them to earn their position instead. It has one core mechanic, one key moment, 3 exceptions that switch it off entirely. It was strict, then softened in 1925, and that single softening changed football's tactical DNA forever. Defenders weaponized it into the offside trap. Managers built entire systems around it. Technology now enforces it by the millimeter. And yet, the sentence at the heart of the rule has barely changed in a century. When the ball is played forward to you, you cannot be closer to the opponent's goal line than the second to last defender. You were never confused about the concept. You were confused about how people were explaining it. That is a different problem. And now, you have the right one. The game has not changed. You have. You're welcome. Next time your friend at the party tries to explain offside, let him finish. Nod politely. Then explain it in one sentence. Correctly. Without blinking. You will have earned that. Subscribe if you enjoyed this type of content. It means a lot.